Now, Dave Prowse, best known for playing Darth Vader in the original Star Wars trilogy, has died at the age of 85. His fellow co-star Mark Hamill, who played Luke Skywalker, paid tribute to him, calling him a kind man who loved his fans as much as they loved him. Our entertainment correspondent Lisa Mazimba looks back at his life.
At 6'6" with a towering figure, Dave Prowse was physically perfect for the part of Darth Vader in the original Star Wars trilogy in the 1970s and 1980s.
Looks like you two need a lesson in crossing the road.
At the same time, he was also the face of road safety, presenting videos and visiting thousands of schools as the Green Cross Code Man.
We won't be there when you cross the road, so always use the Green Cross Code.
It's very interesting because when I became Darth Vader, or at least when the Star Wars film came out, I almost got the sack from the government because they thought that my image as Darth Vader would have a detrimental effect on my image as the Green Cross Code Man.
A champion weightlifter, he eventually tried acting. As Darth Vader, he had the bulk, he had the build, but he also had a Bristol accent.
Start tearing this ship apart piece by piece until you've found those tapes. Find the passengers of this vessel. I want them alive. You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take her away.
When the first Star Wars film came out, he found that his dialogue had been replaced with the booming tones of James Earl Jones. He may never have been the voice behind the villain, but the man behind the mask of Darth Vader is how he'll always be remembered. And for so many, he played the most iconic cinema villain ever seen.
Dave Prowse, who's died at the age of 85. Well, we've got two Star Wars mega fans with us now, Luke Bly and Matt Hudson. They are also the co-hosts of the Star Wars Sessions podcast, which draws in thousands of fellow fans every month. Welcome to you both. He was described as larger than life in many ways. I mean, we know he was very tall. In what other ways was he much larger than life, Matt?
Well, the physicality that he brought to the role is obviously what he's known for as Darth Vader. He's now set the template going forward for anyone playing that character. They now have to bring the aura that Dave brought, but also the way he treated his fans. He was always on the convention circuit. He was there up until a few years ago. He was always signing autographs, taking pictures with fans, young and old. He was really, really proud to be part of this fandom and loved, obviously, the adoration that came with it. But he was just a really, really great guy to the fans who was very appreciative of what he was given by being in the franchise, but also what he's given the franchise will never be forgotten.
Luke, did you meet him at any of these conventions, and what sort of personal memories do you have of him?
Sadly, I didn't meet him in person, but I did see him at a few Comic Cons, and his presence was definitely well known there. And he just had, like Matt said, there was just a brilliant atmosphere around him. And I think many around the UK are going to remember him as Green Cross Code Man, but for generations around the globe, David Prowse is Darth Vader. And without David Prowse, there isn't Darth Vader, there isn't Star Wars. And I think that's something to be celebrated.
Matt, I mean, it's interesting because it's rumoured that he fell out with George Lucas about 10 years ago. But it does seem an extraordinary career that he's had when physically he was Darth Vader, but his voice wasn't his. And even when Darth Vader was actually identified, I think, was it 2003? It wasn't even his face either.
Well, no, it was Sebastian Shaw who was the face underneath of the mask in Return of the Jedi. But yeah, they called him Darth Farmer on set because of his thick Bristol accent. And yeah, there was a falling out with George Lucas apparently. But I mean, obviously, with that aside, what he brought to the role helped George Lucas expand and create this monster franchise that we know now. And yeah, he tried his hand. He was in A Clockwork Orange, Doctor Who, obviously the Green Cross Code Man as well. So Dave has, he's touched a lot of people with his influence, and obviously with the work he did with bodybuilding and getting people starting their careers in that as well and helping
exactly.
with that.
And Luke, I think he was UK champion, wasn't he, in terms of bodybuilding, Luke? And I think it was George Lucas who spotted him playing the role of a bodyguard in Clockwork Orange. Matt was talking about the franchise, and you know, a lot of people are fascinated by this as well, because Alec Guinness took a cut in terms of the sales of the film and all the toys and everything else, and made $95 million. I think I was reading somewhere. Earl Jones, who did the voice, got $7,000 as a one-off. Was Dave Prowse made wealthy through this, Luke?
I think he was made well known around the world. You know, David Prowse could go to Japan, to America, and he was that Darth Vader guy, and he was always happy to go to conventions. I think when wealth comes into it, he certainly had the wealth of the fans knowing him and adoring him. And yeah, he's going to be missed because he was really intrinsic to Star Wars and pop culture.
OK, Luke and Matt, thank you very much indeed for talking about Dave Prowse, Darth Vader, who's died at the age of 85.